Hello, Bradley Viking here. Today's topic is the benefits of martial arts that are fairly common but less commonly talked about, or like the unknown benefits of taking martial arts. And this can apply to pretty much any martial art you take, any sort of. Well, I know from martial arts, alright? Could be just regular active things, but I mean, part of it is applying, but yeah, so not just the typical, like, I could defend myself with my, like, knowing how to fight. Sure. But, like, everyone kind of thinks of that. Or, like, getting in shape. Again, people do that. Even, like, gaining confidence, which is, like, it's a bit, I feel something that's commonly, like, hey, you want your kid to gain confidence and be able to stand up for themselves, or you want to gain confidence and stand up for yourself? Like, put them in karate or Muay Thai or Jiu-Jitsu. Or, like, any of 100 styles. But, right, like, that's, especially, I know, like, karate, definitely back in the day, and, like, still now, like, that's a big selling point, is they will be, like, you will gain confidence, and you do, like, I legitimately have become more confident over time, part of it being the martial arts environment, and not just the aspect of, like, oh, I could fight this person if I needed to, right, like, I don't often think of that, and, some scenarios where, like, some guy's trying to yell me down, I'm like, I fought people tougher than you. Like, I spar with pretty tough hombres. Not to brag, but, But even just, it's very hard to do martial arts alone. I know there's people off, and especially during the pandemic, there's been people training alone, and there's people who just punch trees and hit bags and such. But for me, it's always been a very social thing, which is funny because I'm I'm this weird ADHD introvert hermit. But going to Muay Thai is my social time. And definitely it made me much better able to relate to people, even though I joke that, like, we are weird freaks who don't know how to relate to another human being who we haven't punched. That, like, I playfully punch people because I love them. I mainly only do that in the dojo. Like, there's a couple of friends I'll do that to, but otherwise I'm like, no, I accept that you're weird, and yeah, it's actually you're the weird ones that don't understand that, like, me punching or kicking you means I love you. So, or the meme about yeah, it's like Muay Thai, because making friends without, like, roundhouse kicking them first is weird, or Jiu-Jitsu, because making friends without choking them first is weird. But it is, you do meet people from all walks of life, and you gotta, like, work together to all improve your skills. And yeah, like, you gotta learn to relate to people. You gotta partner with somebody when it's time to partner up. And yeah, sure, most people kind of figured that out in elementary school, but not all of us did, okay? So, it helped me. So yes, there's that, like, yeah, sociability, relating to people. I wasn't even planning that when I planned this video. Because my first thing was, like, little practicals, I've never been attacked, like, in the streets. Mostly because I live a low-risk lifestyle, I stay at home. Like, my joke of quarantine is, like, during the lockdown, the only thing I wasn't able to do was go to the gym. Like, and go to the movie theater. Like, the only places I went was, like, the movie theater and the gym. And every once in a while, friends would, like, drag me from my home to go do something fun. But, yeah, so yeah, so I'm not commonly out. I'm not victim shaming anybody, right? If you're a social person, you need to be out there, and then you lead to get attacked by somebody attacks you for whatever reason. Not saying that's your fault. I mean, obviously, that it's a case by case, it's a situational thing, context. But yes, I'm fortunate that I also live in a relatively safe area of the world. And I'm a big guy with a beard. So, most places I go, I imagine people don't just randomly want to attack me. I don't think I look like an easy victim. I don't know. Put down in the comments below if you're like, oh yeah, you'd be such an easy victim. I'd rob you. And you know what? Like, if someone, like, came at me, it was mugger, it's like, I'm in Canada, people, and I don't go, and then I run away from sketchy areas. I grew up in Sherwood Park, okay? when I just mentioned north side of Edmonton, my sisters freak out. So I'm not a guy who that's never come up me really need to like truly defend myself from people seriously trying to hurt me. Has been a lot of play fighting that I've definitely won. Yep. Have I used it to fight with children? Like my nieces and such, a play fight, or when I went to Mexico and was working with orphans. It wasn't even defending myself in Mexico. It was in Mexico, and I was just like, there was like kids at this orphanage, and we would play together. And Mexicans love boxing. Like they love boxing. I think they're getting into MMA too. Like so yeah. We would like shadow box together, and that's how we love to play. Like that's just it's a big cultural thing. And we played like soccer too because you go to Mexico soccer. That went off on a tangent. But yeah, like that's the thing. Is like it is also one of the most common activities in the world. Like some form of martial arts. So you can go all over the world and like, oh, you train this system, I train this system. Like, there will be groups of people that you can relate to. There's a very good book. Well, it's 2 books. Sam Sheridan wrote. So first he wrote A Fighter's Heart, then A Fighter's Mind. A Fighter's Heart's a bit more about this universality. It comes up in A Fighter's Mind too, but he gets a bit more specific because he's like doing these case studies. He even does Dan Gable, famous gold medal American Olympian wrestler, who 1970s won the gold without giving up a point or round. Like and just like that guy. So like kind of big dudes. He's talked. He hung. Sam Sheridan's been around, especially like if you know the fight world. Like basically he's been in fight camps for UFC fighters. He's always just kind of been. He's like this. He writes of himself as a weekend warrior, but it's also like because he's just like bumming around the world training with people in various places. Like he was sailing, and then he stopped in Thailand for a few months because he had money, and he just like trained Muay Thai, and then he just like kind of became curious about all these different like communities. And he traveled from community to community of all these fighters, and then like he published his first book and he got like pretty famous off of it. And and he just like goes around and the themes of these books are both just how no matter where you are in the world, all these various different cultures and all these different martial arts that have all these different goals, right? Jiu-jitsu, grappling, and Muay Thai, it's all the striking, the difference of wrestlers and MMA and all these guys. And he went and like studied Tai Chi under this old man, and he goes and he studies with these, he lives with these people. And the important part is he's able to find the truth of what they're doing. He's finding the similarity between all of them. A repeated line throughout the book is like, in the end, it was all about love. And that's a very big part of martial arts, is the iron. It might sound ironic, but martial arts is about love. No one gets far in any martial arts without love. Like they might not phrase it in those terms, but you have to love what you're doing. They might say, oh, they're enjoying it, they're having fun, they have a passion. But you don't get far in an art without loving it. I love Muay Thai. I always have. Oh, it's been a deep love for many years. And it's clear me to see. But yeah, it's like, and then that's the thing, like, and every fighter I know who's read that book is like, and it's like a must read. Like, you see somebody else in the martial community be like, have you read Fighter's Heart? Like, I will loan you a copy of this book. You need to read this book. Because it speaks to all. Every fighter I know, including myself, has read this book. And it speaks to all of us. It's our universal language. Because he gets it. It's a guy who hasn't just run around and studied fighters. Like, he kind of talks to himself a bit of that. But no, he's gone and lived life. He's trained. He's fine. He was a stunt double for Paul Walker in this like prison movie no one saw, but I saw clips of in a 3 Doors Down music video. He was like a body double for a switch kick because they couldn't get Paul Walker couldn't figure it out, but like Sam, it's like right he's legit. But yeah, so no matter what art form you're doing, like there's universalities between all of us and all these things we can do. And what drives us to do these things. As he says at the end of a fighter's mind, there's a million reasons in one. Yours. Zen Koan. You have to reread the part on Zen Koans. But yeah, practical things of martial arts before I get involved in my impassioned speeches. Like the other day, I was walking the ice, and I slipped on the ice because I was wearing running shoes instead of my boots, like a fool. And I did a break fall, right? Break fall is basically like day one jiu-jitsu. Day one, like you warm up. First thing you do after you warm up, is most jiu-jitsu classes, they'll practice their rolls and their break falls. And I've done enough jiu-jitsu to know how to roll and break fall. I'm a very firm white belt. I can grapple a little bit, but I am a white belt, and I'm a white belt. But, right, the first thing they teach you is how to fall, because, right, like, jiu-jitsu, it's like if you start standing, you go to the ground, so you have to learn how to fall properly, so you're not just, like, messed up. And, yeah, and you practice it enough. And part of it's not just learning it, it's not just watching one video on break fall. So, okay, well, I know how to break fall, because, yeah, you could teach someone how to break fall in about 5 seconds. Pretty simple. You curl up, you tuck your chin in, and you slap your arms out to the ground when you do it. Yeah, again, you can teach someone to do that in about 5-10 seconds. The thing is, you practice it over and over again so that when you slip on the ice, you do it by instinct you don't think break fall. Your body just does it reflexively. Instinct was the wrong term there. Reflex. You got to train these ingrained habits of reflex. So yeah. It's like, my butt still hurt, and I got wet. But I was fine. Because it would get right back up. This lady saw me fall. I was like, oh, you okay? I'm like, yeah, no, I'm fine. Because, and I only realized, a little bit later, because, where I felt it on my forearm and palm of my hand, I was like, oh, I broke, I kind of turned to the side because I had my gym bag, and I had my iPad in my gym bag, and I didn't want to smash my iPad. So I kind of was able to twist, save my iPad and my gym bag, and probably my protein shake inside of there. Right, didn't want those smashing the ground, and slapping the ground. Yeah, so I was able to save myself, and and I tucked my chin in so I didn't conk my head. So that's a practical thing, but people don't talk about knowing how to move with things, knowing just how to move. And the thing, people are not great at moving. We're not built. We're not knowing. Sometimes little kids can kind of do things, but a lot of the things that of our bodies properly move, you need to learn it. And also you need to practice it. It needs to be ingrained. So stuff like learning how to fall. I remember I had an instructor back in the day, and he talked about how he fell off a building or through a floor in a construction site. Claims he fell 3 stories. His stories, but I believe he had pretty sick crescent kicks, so I believe them. And yeah, fell 3 stories, but because he could break fall, he curled into a ball, and he tucked up, and he was able to protect himself, so he wasn't dead or crippled for life. I'm sure he fell 3 stories, just messed up, or fell through a floor. At least he fell 1 floor, through a building. Okay, it's been 12 years since I heard the story, so might mix up the story. So yeah, just little things how to fall, or I still do shoulder rolls every now and again just so I remember how to do it, and also because it's fun, and then you feel like you're Captain Kirk. You can just feel, and then your nieces think you're the coolest uncle ever, or your adult friends just accept you. So that's the thing, and as I said, the confidence. You don't know how to deal with loquaciousness in martial arts. It will not teach you that. I say this as an 11-year veteran of Muay Thai, ongoing. I still talk a lot. Obviously, you're 14 minutes into this video. No, there was one other thing I definitely want to talk about. Oh, that's right. I remember now. All right. So what had happened was, I got my car stuck in the snow the other day. I was leaving the dojo. I was one of the last ones out, so everybody else had already left, and my front tires got stuck. And I have a front wheel drive because I drive an Altima, Nissan Altima. If anyone's curious, there you go. There's 1 million of them, so good luck stalking me. But years ago, I picked up a little pack, like, you can slide the handle and slide it out so you make it shorter or longer. A compactable shovel from Canadian Tire. So I pulled out because it's like, all right, well, I'm on my own. I'm stuck. I need to get out of here. No one, like, there's no one around to push me out. What am I gonna do? Well, I could panic or I could go fix this. So I was like, right, shovel in the trunk. Go dig out. It took me a couple tries to realize like where I need to dig out. But then yeah, digged out the front. I just dug the front tire straight down to the asphalt because it wasn't that deep. It was slushy snow. You can get real stuck in slushy in the snow. People who like have snowy winters, they know. You know things when you're like you have to deal with snow every year. You learn the ways of snow. I appreciate that there's certain Inuit cultures that have, you know, all these names for all the it's not just 20 names for snow or 15. I don't know how many names it is for snow. It is each type of snow has its own term. Like when you're dealing with a lot of snow, you got it. So I dug my tires out and I got my car out. And that's the thing of like, as much as I was saying before, you know, martial arts, you do need to work together to train. It still is like when you're in the ring, and I've been in the ring, right? You are on your own. So it's, you still have to have an element of self-reliance when you're sparring, when you're fighting. Like, yeah, I'm the one that's dealing with this problem. And, okay, plan A isn't working. What's plan B, right? Plan A, drive the car. Well, that didn't work. All right, plan B, right? It's not sit here and cry. Because there was a time in my life when I would have just sat there and cried about it. Or at least, again, I had my brief, like, I had my 5 seconds, like. But then I was like, all right, what are we going to do, right? And that's the thing, is like, when you're fighting, someone's coming at you, and, like, what you're doing is not working, well, you got to switch strategy. But you also have to be prepared with your proper tools. And that could apply to, like, anything, but that's what I learned that in martial arts. I learned, so first you have to have your tools in advance. So, like, right, it's like, well, my jab isn't working, or I'm going to use a cross. Or, like, he's blocking all my straightforward attacks. All right, I'm going to have to fake. I'm going to have to feint. Right, he can sweep all my teeps, all right, I'll crash. But you train these techniques, so you have more tools in your toolbox. And so, right, so it's one thing to be like, all right, I'm not going to give up and get my car out of here, even though I have no one to help me. The other thing, be like, well, I had the right tool in my trunk. I had my shovel in my trunk, so I was prepared. So that's the thing, is like, it's twofold factors. You don't give up, right? You find another strategy, but you have to, like, but you have to be prepared in advance. And I think that's a very good life lesson. Be prepared, and then don't give up. So yeah, always have a plan B, as they say. And like, yeah, you can learn that from anywhere, but, or it's the same with, you know, like in your home, you have tools to be supplied for different scenarios. It's like, yeah, I have a toolbox of, like, all of these martial arts techniques in the training to use if I'm ever attacked. But, you know, I also have smoke detectors in my house in case, you know, there's a fire. I don't have a fire extinguisher. Maybe I should get one. Okay, comment below if you think, like, when you live in a 2-bedroom apartment, is a fire extinguisher worth the investment? But, right, stuff like a fire extinguisher, right? If you have the right tool. And then you have to have the will to implement it. No tool is as good as, like, you know, you have the best hammer, but if you can't swing it, you got to be able to swing the hammer. So no tool is as good as the ability to implement it, right? What is steel? Steel isn't strong boy. You know, flesh is stronger. What is steel without the? What is a sword without the hand that wields it? That's Conan the Barbarian paraphrasing, because I kind of messed up the last part of that quote. But like the idea, right, that however the Super Infinity +1 sword, if the hand that wields it is nothing, then it's nothing. If it's lying on the ground, it's nothing. You need, so it's this. You have to have the right tool for the job and the right skill to implement the tool, or the will. I guess if the tool is a technique, if the skill, but then the skill is also a tool. Mixing my metaphors. So you have to have the will to, like, keep going, to not give up. Nanakrobioki, as we say. It's a common It's Japanese for fall down 7 times, never give up. Fall down 7 times, get up 8, which means never give up. Ugh. But you could probably go to a karate dojo and see that like on the wall somewhere. It's a common expression among martial artists. Most just say fall down 7, get up 8. But if you're super cool and you have the right audiobooks, you learn how to say Nanakrobi Yaoki. So yeah. But you have to be prepared to implement. You can't just you gotta never give up. You gotta prepare. You gotta get the right tools and the right skills. So that's me saying martial arts makes you better at life, and I just like to ramble about things.